everybody, DeathsStalker here, and I thought I'd talk to you about back in the days when I was racing and we used to attend the occasional track day. Now, track days way back in the 1980s are not like they are today, where they're very, you know, regimented and well run and well organized. And oh, a lot of water coming off the escarpment here. Wow. Anyways, back to the story. Nowadays, you go to do a track day, you know, they have it pretty regimented as to how it's done, and that's from experience. You know, you have organizations that rent the track, and then they charge you, you know, a fee to use it on your bike, or they supply a bike and they charge you a higher fee, and that's all well and good. Now, back in the 80s, there were no rental bikes, so you had to use your bike. And most of the guys who did the track days were actually racers. But in the summertime, when, you know, a lot of people had vacations, we'd get street riders who would come out and do track days as well. Now, a track day is not like a race weekend where, you know, you have like a Friday out open practice where everyone goes out and tries to debug your bikes and whatnot. Track days are a little more relaxed. There's not as much pressure because, you know, you only have so much time on a race weekend to get everything all squared away. And so we tended to be a little more mellow. A lot of guys use the track days, you know, to break in new engines. If you had an engine that had blown, as a matter of fact, on the one weekend, one of the top Superbike champions was there, and he was literally doing that. He was breaking in a brand new engine on a 750 Superbike, and his mechanic was there with a baseball bat to make certain he didn't exceed the red line. And so he was like, you know, we were kidding him. He was riding like a grandma, but he was riding around the track and at a slow and steady pace, doing what he was supposed to do to break the engine in, because that particular weekend was Superbike Nationals, I guess it was. I can't remember what it was called back then, but at that particular track. And you know, we had a lot of guys with street bikes who were, you know, thinking they were fast and not very fast. And I was out there actually running in my engine and just doing some minor tweaking because we had made some suspension changes. So we were just trying to get it figured out. But generally, it was just having fun and burning up some older slicks that were well worn in, but couldn't use them for race, but they were awesome for track days. And, you know, it's all pretty good, having a lot of fun. Passing street bike riders like it was standing still. And most of the time, the racers don't race each other when they get in track days, but, you know, boys will be boys. There was a few guys who were racing, and it was, we were laughing about it. And it was all going really well. Then all of a sudden, a rainstorm hit. Now, where this track is, it's very close to the lake, and they literally have a storm that can just pop in and, like, you know, it's sunny 1 minute, and then 5 minutes later, you've got a monsoon. And the local weather station is actually pretty good at predicting it, but no one was actually bothering to pay any attention. So our two racer guys were out there on full slicks, and they were blasting away. Then all of a sudden, boom, they get to the back half of the track and they hit rain. Now, the only good thing about this was the section where they hit rain, the runoff was massive. So when they actually hit the rain, they were actually able to just to sort of like coast off the track and come back like two little drowned kittens. So that was like we all said lunch, and we just sort of sat around waiting for the rain to end, and it did. And the only problem that was annoying was the rain didn't, like, the rain stopped, but the water wasn't evaporating like normal. So we're just sitting there, and there's all these puddles on the track, and there's no refunds at racetracks for rain delay. It's just like, you know, sorry guys. And we're sitting there and realizing this is going to get really boring fast, so one of the guys hops in his car and starts driving around the racetrack trying to move the water. And next thing you know, everyone's on there driving with their car, and my car at the time was a 1985 Chevy Blazer, not exactly the sportiest thing on the planet, and we're all driving around the racetrack, and it's actually my first time ever on a racetrack in four wheels, and we're slipping and sliding and all that sort of stuff and having a good time. A few guys were spinning out, and you remember these are their street cars, so like no one wants to wreck their street car because generally it's attached to a trailer that brings your race bike back and forth to the track. And we're slipping and sliding. It was like a good hour before we got enough of the track cleared that we go back out again and play. And you know, it was kind of a, you know, funny sort of interesting little memory, because most track days weren't like that. And when I talk to guys who go to track days nowadays, it's like, you know, it's like you're in the army. It's like, you will do this, you will not do that, and all that sort of stuff. And I come to realize that back when I was racing and riding the track, it was basically the wild, wild west. You did what you had to do. You rented the track, you paid for the ambulance service for the day, and that was it. Like, there was no corner workers, there was no crash vehicles, so if someone crashed, we had to make our own arrangements to go out there and pick up the remains of the bike and get it off the track. And if you did any damage to the racetrack, like not so much the bikes but the car guys did, you were responsible to replace the damaged track facilities. So anyways, that's one of my stories on the 1980 era track days. Hope you enjoyed it. DeathsStalker